everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are breaking one of the most important ideas in all of the data structures and algorithms, that is DFS, depth first search in graphs. And don't worry, we are not starting from complicated CS definitions, but we are starting from real life intuition so even a complete beginner can understand it. So let's dive in. So now what's a graph really? So before we talk about DFS, we need to understand what a graph is. So forget computer science and imagine cities and the roads connecting them. Graph is just set of places and connect, that's it. For example, if we see this, then city 0 is connected with 1 and 4. City 1 is connected with 0 and 2. City 2 is connected with 1, 3. City 3 is connected to 2 and 4, and city 4 is connected to 0 and 3. So why do we need DFS? Now, 80% of graph problems boil down to one question. From this place, what else I can reach? So given a place, DFS helps answer that. DFS means depth first search, meaning we choose a direction and keep going until we hit the dead end, and then come back and try different paths, just like exploring a maze. So DFS is one pass at a time and go deep. To explain you the analogy, DFS is like exploring rooms inside room. Imagine you enter a room A. Inside you find a door to room B. Inside B, you find a door to room C, and so on. So you come back. Eventually, you hit a locked room, a dead end. So you come back and try a different door. This is DFS. Recursion becomes your butler. It remembers the path you come from. So DFS is actually dive deep, return, dive deep, return. The most important tool of DFS is the visited array. Why? Because in graphs, you can have loops. 0 is connected with 1 and vice versa. So if you don't track visited nodes, you'll gets in an infinite loop because you're stuck into a loop like DFS 0 to DFS 1 and then back to DFS 0 and then DFS 1. That's an infinite loop. So we mark cities we have already entered, and DFS never enters a room twice. Now, how do we store a graph? We do it by using adjacency list. Instead of drawing roads, we store neighbors. Neighbors of 0 are 1 and 4. Neighbors of 1 are 0 and 2. Similarly, of 2 and 2, 3 and 4. To build up the thinking, we need to think that for node I, what its neighbors. This makes it super easy to explore. The simple DFS algorithm the essence is for every node, we mark it visited, then we process, print count, etc., then visit all the neighbors not yet visited. And that's it. That's the entire DFS algorithm. Now let me give you a DFS walkthrough. Let's start at node 0. The neighbors 0 are 1, 4. We pick 1. The neighbors of 1, 0 and 2. 0 is already visited, so we skip it and go deeper to DFS 2. Now 2. The neighbors of 2, 1 and 3. 1 is already visited, so we skip and go to DFS 3. Now neighbors of 3 are 2 and 4. 2 is already visited, so we skip it and go to DFS 4. Now we reach to node 4. The neighbors of node 4, 0 and 3, that are both visited. When we find neighbors that both visited, that means we have reached to the dead end, and then we backpack. So the DFS order becomes 0, 1, king, 3, 4. Like this is depth first search exploration. Now why recursion works so well for DFS? Because every recursive call is like we enter into a room, then recursion remembers your current path, and when the room is done, the recursion automatically returns. So recursion is a built-in stack. This is why DFS is recursion superpower. Now let me quickly walk you through the Java DFS code. So the code does one thing. We start from a node, it explores the graph as deep as possible using DFS. So it uses a visited array To avoid revisiting nodes and infinite loop, we use recursion to automatically backtrack and a graph adjacency list to know what neighbors each node has. So let's go deeper. In the main DFS traversal function, what's happening is we create a visited array that keeps track of nodes we have already visited. Why? Because graphs can have cycles like 0, 1. Without a visited array, DFS would loop forever. All values start at fall, that means not visited, and we call DFS function starting from the start node. And this is the entry point for DFS. The recursive DFS function explores one node, mark it visited, and then recursively explores all its neighbors. So first step is to mark current node as visited as we entering this node, so we mark it. The analogy is you're exploring a maze. You put chalk on the floor when you enter a room so you don't walk into the same room again. Then we process the node. This prints the current node, and you might actually replace it with count nodes, track, counted component size, fill a list, or check something about the node. But printing is the simplest example. Now exploring the for loop. The for loop is to explore all its neighbors. This line means get the list of all nodes connected to the node and now visit them one by one. For example, if node is 2, then graph.get 2 gives us 1 and 3. Then neighbor equals 1 and then neighbor equals 3. This if condition, if not visited neighbor, prevents revisits. We only travel to neighbors we haven't visited yet. If we skip this step, we get infinite recursion. So this condition is critical. Then at last, we recursive DFS call. This is the heart of DFS. You enter the neighbor, you mark out visited, you mark it visited, then explore its neighbors, and so. Recursion keeps calling DFS until you hit a node with no visited neighbors, a node with no unvisited neighbors, and then automatically backtrack. This backtracking is why DFS explores deep first. In one line, DFS marks a node visited, then prints it, and then recursively visits all its unvisited neighbors. That's the entire algorithm. And that's it. You now fully understand what graphs are, why DFS exists, how DFS moves, and why recursion is perfect for DFS, and how the code works. In the next video, we'll use the DFS knowledge to solve number of islands, a super famous leak code problem. If you like this beginner-friendly breakdown, hit like, subscribe, and tell me which graph problem you want next. See you in the next one. Until then, bye-bye.